Okay, so first for this user multi-tenancy application, you will have to create first one database. Like here, I'm just creating here demo demo one. So what this demo one? It will be a one database in my system, in which this it will automatically create the tenant 1 and tenant 2 schemes, and inside that it will automatically create the tables. Let me just quickly create database table. It's first database, and then we have given name here. We will have to also specify some uh, basic thing like the database name and driver, and this thing you don't need to change, you only need to update this. And you will have to simply run the server. So once you up this, so behind the scene what it will do, it will just create a two public scheme, one public scheme, and two tenant scheme actually. So for that, let me just first give you the highly overview of this application, then we will discuss the technical things. So once our application is completed successfully, so you can see some logs here like these tables are created. So if I go here and open these schemes, and if I just refresh it, so you can see here the tenants are available, and also you can see some sort of tables. So let's look into the our endpoints. So when you are doing this API hit at a first time, so what you will have to do here, you will have to mention your the tenant ID, and tenant ID as the extenent header, and inside the body you will have to create a user. You can create two type of user or either role admin actually. So here I am giving this email, and it will create one user for me that will have a user role. So you can see it's created, and now with the same thing I can log in. Here I'm using also the tenant, and one more thing, for every of your HTTP request you will have to pass this X tenant ID, otherwise it will throw an error. I will show you that as well. First let me do a generate a one token. So here we have generated a token, and one more scenario is here, like if you enter here some kind of the invalid tenant which is not exist, so it will throw an error, tenant not found. So we have to make sure that it's correct as per the database scheme. So we have a token now, and this is the endpoint for creating a message. Here we will have to pass the our token, and here is the body. This is the simple payload. Here we have to pass the thread ID as the integer number, user ID as an integer number, and this is the content. So once you hit this, so it will say okay, we have to paste here the latest token. So you can see it's throwing an error because I have logged in the tenant one scheme, and here I have passed. Here I'm using that specific token for the tenant 2, so it will not work because inside that user is not available. So here I will give the user 1, and you can see it's there. So this is the our second endpoint, and the third endpoint is this thread one, get thread messages list, in which we have to pass the thread ID, and based on that we will return some sort of list. So here I will give the latest token, and here is the tenant one, and you will see our list of messages will be appeared here. So this is the that endpoint, and there is one more endpoint, recommendation. So let me just quickly open up that. Here is our that controller, and here we will give the name, and that's it. And you will see, okay, I have to give the thread ID also, we are missing param. Here I will give thread ID 1, and I'll request it, so it will give you the randomly escalate some sort of action value as per the documentation. So these were the endpoints that I have already mentioned, endpoint that I have explained. Now let's do some technical discussion for now. So let's start first the tenant creation, the configuration level thing. So what exactly we have to do for the our this thing? We will have to create this component thing here. So this tenant bootstrap is basically responsible for creation of all of our tenant, which you can see in our application. It's being created. So this is being invoked whenever our application instantiated, and in this multi-tenant configuration being here we are configuring the multiple data sources for whenever you just change any of the tenant. And one more thing, so whenever you are just changing any of the tenant, so by this filter we are just putting that specific tenant id into a tenant context. We have created a tenant context. You can see here tenant context, it is nothing but it's some kind of a placeholder class. Inside that we are just holding this tenant context, tenant id actually. So you can see here inside this filter I have added some validation checks over there, like tenant ID is missing or not, or the tenant exists or not. If we deep dive into this tenant service, so I have written some basic logic here. Tenant exists or not, like it will search for a real-time tenant in your database. Okay, so I'm not much going inside that. It's a basic thing. Let's I have explained this thing, and here is the tenant context. I have already explained this thing. Let's talk about this multi-tenancy thing. So this is the main core thing that we will have to configure whenever we are just dealing with multi-tenancy thing. Here we will have to implement this multi-tenant content provider. Inside that we will have to first we will have to override some default method that are provided by uh, multi-tenant content provider. So this is the basically connection bean which is always invoked whenever you just instantiate an application. That time it was also invoked, and whenever you just do any API call, and inside that you have written some database logic, so it will automatically invoke. And it also invoke the release any collection connection whenever that API is at end of its stage. So basically, like whenever we are just switching the tenant, so these method are being automatically get triggered with the pass triggered id. So what I have created here, I have created here the private the separate method class methods for that, in which I am just passing this tenant identifier, and I am just creating stabilizing the connection with the different scheme based on the pass identifier, and also same logic for this release connection thing. So this is the thing that we have done. And this resolver I have already this resolver is nothing but we can say it's some kind of the validation scheme that run behind the scene whenever you just whenever you are just running your application actually. Okay, so this is the thing, and some repos, and let's talk about security thing. So security thing will start from here, like the security configuration. Here we'll have to create security filter chain bean, in which we will have to pass some codes related stuff and CSRF disable, and some public endpoints, and some authenticated endpoint, like which all needs to be authenticated, and stateless policy and codes configuration. And we have created here some provider as well, one provider as well, and the JWT service, in which we will have to override our user detail service. Not this one. It is this one, application configuration. Uh, where that is? Sorry, it is authentication. Where that is? Yeah, here, user service. So this is the our user service which we are just which for that we are just creating a bean over here. You can see, let me show you. Yeah, so you can see here we have provided this user service, and for this user service we have implemented this method. So only my this method load by username, it is only responsible for validating a uh, user's credential actually with our real-time database. So you can see here I have also here written some custom logic for multi-tenancy purpose. I am just getting tenant from our context, and I'm just validating that user with these thing exist or not. So by that I have implemented this authentication service mechanism. And also one more thing I just want to explain. Where is that? Where is our filter? Yeah, here it is. So here is our JWT authentication filter, which will invoke for our every of the call. The purpose of that is to just basically authorize the any of the incoming HTTP request that it's having appropriate token or not, and also it is valid or not. It actually checks for with the our activated, or we can say uh, the passed a header tracking ID. Let's say you have passed test tenant 1, so it will look for the tenant 1 user. So and one more thing I just want to highlight here, you can see here I have used ordering. So this ordering was basically I have given there too, and here the highest precedence. So it is passed highest precedence because we always wanted to tenant filter invoke first, because here we are just setting uh, the tenant context, in which we are just passing all of the not all of the header key ID for the tenant. So yeah, that's pretty much all at a high level, and I have already explained the things. And one more thing here I want to highlight here. If you want to manually create the tenants in your application, so you can also call this application api.v1.tenant. I have created for only this specific API for the role admin. I have also implemented the role based authorization in our application. So you need to just pass only this tenant ID in the payload, and it will simply create a payload for you. Yeah, that's it. And I have also written test cases as well. You can see here over. Let me just quickly run. Uh, yeah, you can see all of the test cases. It's getting passed and everything is running. And